And off the road has gone number 95, Sanjay Tirungnanasambandan's Race Lab McLaren, who's not done a lot of GT4 racing. This is Sanjay's drama, just loses the back onto the grass, bang, on the side of the car, and that spins it around, but just a bit too keen with the throttle. And Alex Martin there sort of ducking to the inside going into Old Hall, partly to see where he's going as much as anything. And a big slide there, that's the Sasha Kaka Hugo Cook Audi that goes around. And please, get it going. Yes, you will. Willie. The car with a yellow flag being shown at the approach to the corner to warn people that there's a spinner, does now get going. The man from Macau, 15th. But a winner here when he first came to Oulton Park in 2021, and a big moment there as Mark Smith so nearly gets in the back of Ferguson. Up the escape road has gone Carl Cavers as well. They survive it somehow. How contact wasn't made there, looking back. Oh, that was quite a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, here we go. I nearly said the day's guy was celebrating. That must have been millimetres. I don't think Ferguson saw him, so didn't...
Because then in the second stint, Phil Keane can do the hard yards. Off at Lodge Corner, though, has gone the BMW. Is that the Carl Cavers car? 22, I think it is, that's facing the wrong way behind. And this is what happened to Carl Cavers. Have a look to the far left. He spins into view, and Richard Neary was involved / caught up in that as well somehow.
I'm not saying he's guilty, but you can see there's no paint on that.
Not much covering those three when we go back to green. Anticipate. Oh, no, off under full course yellow has gone Kavi Jundu. Now, that is not a good look, is it? If you crash under full course yellow conditions, you've got a case to answer.
With his recovery, potentially.
Yes, it's coming out of Shell, isn't it? So that's the end of it. So he's just run wider and wider, hit the barrier, but at 80 kilometres an hour under a full circuit caution, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, nothing ceases to amaze me. A bit like when I drive home from here, back down the M6, and you see people wandering around on the motorway. Big damage on the rear right of that McLaren. You can see how it's sat. That has pinged off the barrier. Look at the tyre marks all the way across the grass. So this is what we saw at the start. You can see Plowman in the middle of Clutton and McLeod. Gets past Clutton, then McLeod gets a little bit at the back of Smalley, which then makes him run wide. Plowman going to get traction. Then look at that, Robertson, did he get help from the Ginetta there? Hard to say. Spinning across, avoiding action. The McLaren, the Race Lab one first, then Albert gets hit by the Mustang. It was all concertina of Robertson spinning across the track. I don't know if he was helped or not, is the hard bit to say there. Matt Nicol-Jones, as we see Rowledge, I think that is just having a little spin potentially.
Johnny Adam, isn't it?
Sorry, yeah, Johnny Adam, the 86, you're right. Has he got an issue? Can he get going? It looks like he's had a spin to me purely on the grass. Let's have a look.
He was given a bit of help, wasn't he? He's got Maxi Gertz behind him, and as they come through the corner, Maxi possibly got into the tail, because bodywork flies. It looks like there was contact.
Definitely. I mean, the splitter and diffuser hit, and it's quite hard.
Losing time in traffic. They are perhaps gaining time over the AMs now, but will that come back to bite them later? Richard Neary, meanwhile, with a spin at Copps Corner, sorry, and Richard Neary from 6th position, unfortunately, with a moment, Joe.
Yeah, see, it doesn't look like he's going to get hit from behind. Goes down the inside, just real lazy spin. I'd imagine he's trying to trail the break in, so he's braking.
We'll try and figure out why maybe the pace has gone. There's damage, though, down at the club chicane. That is the number 17 Mercedes. That is Harry George, and that is a very badly damaged car that's stuck in the gravel.
Yeah, there's going to be some contact here, isn't there? There's a lot of bodywork. That's hard, isn't it? The BMW just comes across on him. You tend to brake where the BMW was there, in terms of you brake off the dry line and then move back across. Because we obviously know Smalley's is bad because we've got an onboard camera. Harper's is okay, but I don't think Smalley would be the only one struggling there.
Oh!
So big moment. That's going to be a spin.
Car 32, drive-through penalty, full course yellow procedure, speeding.
Luckily got the clutch in, or the anti-stall kicked in on that Aston Martin.
To the loop, we've had a tangle down at Club there. Now, could this be the safety car that some people are waiting for? It's the 17 car again, down at the same part of the circuit. It struggled earlier on, and that was one of the McLarens.
You need to go to full course yellow for safety. I always say it, sound like a boring old man, but these conditions as a driver are so treacherous. We saw Clutton just touch a white line as we go back for what happened. Mercedes clearly in front and is actually exactly the same as what Clutton did. Just touched it, locked the rear, and the Mercedes fully innocent, and the McLaren might live to fight another day because of the Mercedes knocking off some of his speed. Yeah, with their positioning on the track, I'd assume the Lambo of Martin has lost it. Mark has gone probably to his right to avoid it. Let's see, I don't have to guess anymore. So so Martin's actually behind, so Mark is the car in front. Let's watch what happens there. There's something going on in front. Oh. Yeah, he loses control, then collides. So it's what I thought would happen, but the other way round. And then watch this impact. That is a solid concrete wall. He is, what, 3 or 4 meters away. Luckily for Mark, he hits it square. Luckily he's in a McLaren with a carbon tub. It pops the window out. And I actually spoke to the team. Let's watch this on board. So Mark's 2 cars in front, runs wide, touches that slippery outside bit, then touches it again. He comes across. Martin, fully innocent, unfortunately. No intention from Ratcliffe, of course, just an innocent mistake. But there's enough damage to that Lamborghini where it can't continue. But that was a brutal hit for Mark. And I spoke to the team straight away. Sean Goff, the team principal, texted me. It was just being winded, but I'm not surprised because that is a big impact. Just watch this McLaren again as it comes back to the left. It hits this solid concrete wall which is filled with earth behind it. That is a big hit, and for the driver it's always awful going in sideways. There's no real crash structure in the car, but it's incredible. It's like Lewis Hamilton, wasn't it, in F1 when he swept past to take the lead. He takes the lead, it's going to go left. Is that going to be contact? Clausen locks up, hits Mardaba, it's going to get hit again. No, Smalley goes back into lead. How similar was that to F1? Hamilton was like Mardaba there. Jan Mardaba, I feel so sorry for you, mate. Absolute class act. First time back in a race car in such a long time. So we've got a replay. What are we looking at here? Look at Jan in the background. He's going to inherit the lead in the next 30 metres. Clutton does great down there, but has to overslow it to not hit the Lotus. Then hits the Mercedes. Jan just sweeps through. Amazing vision by Clutton to even see him there. Front on the left that we just can't see now. It's popping in. Is this the car that then spins? We're going to see then Clutton going down. There goes the Lotus. And Clutton in the... That was amazing driving by Seb Morris. I think he just clipped him, but I think he got away with that one. But that was action-packed, wasn't it, to say the least? So here's the context. It doesn't look like... I thought maybe Smalley and Clutton hit, and that caused Clutton to go deep. Really not. Even feel even more sorry for Mardaba because his pace is good enough to have won this race, as well as we go to a replay of this Ginetta GT4 just getting loaded up by the Breakel one-off entry. That was really quite brutal. And normally the Ginetta...
Rebelli has just pitted. This, though, Joe, the replay of what happened at the hairpin.
A lot of cars and not a lot of space, isn't it? Orange really late. Loggy didn't even see him. I'm not surprised at that. Enter Smith, and then Johnson, the Century BMW, taking all 3 of them.
We've got cars flinging themselves into the gravel. Car after car is going off at Redgate. Here we are. This is what I was seeing out of the window. We've got the Mercedes rejoining. Luckily, they're all digging their way out. But no, that car's going nowhere. The Mustang is off as well. On slick tyres, they cannot get round Redgate corner. And here comes another one. The 31 Mercedes off. And this is now getting pretty dangerous, isn't it? It's a sudden, well, not a sudden downpour, but a big downpour. Off goes the Century BMW as well. Carnage, Joe, at Redgate corner.
Jesus Christmas. Yeah, I mean, everyone's just got to be on the brakes halfway down the pit straight because your acroplane doesn't actually matter. Another one. I think there's a gap. I think you'll be okay. Oh my God, threading a needle here. This is like that Nürburgring F1 race safety car. People spinning as well, leaving the pit lane.
That was a spinning GT3 BMW heading for the scene. It was the 15 car. It clatters into the Mustang. They need a safety car. The safety car is out, but really, I think about 60 seconds too late because you could see that coming. The Lotus safety car out of the pit lane. Absolute chaos at Redgate corner, and I've no idea what this now means.
Especially when you're leading the race, but they did exactly the right thing because of the pictures we're seeing now. That was like a game of battleships, and luckily no one sunk their own battleship. How can we have so many cars off and not a single one hit each other? That was all luck, not skill, unfortunately. That was absolutely wild. Some of the drivers there...
My mind did go back to that quite famous incident at Oulton Park all those years ago in the wet. It was a very similar situation. We've got a car spinning behind the safety car. That was the number 2 McLaren, I think. That's lost it. Surely still on slick tyres. Clips one of the cars in the gravel. Clips 3 of the cars in the gravel. And that, Joe, was behind the safety car.
I mean, Al Buncombe, I respect you massively, raced against him. I'm just trying to work out who I think it should benefit the most.
22 is off on the run through Hollywood. That car spun on the outlap at Silverstone, and now it's had an off behind the safety car here at Donington.
Using one of your mandatory there as we Show. Oh my God. How are we still doing this, guys?
Well, that car's just been recovered from the gravel trap and has now spun. Now, it may have damage because it got clobbered. I think the left rear is damaged, maybe. That wheel looked like it was maybe at a funny angle. It did get clobbered by at least one of the other cars that came in.
Balfe going defensive, covering off, catching a Ginetta DTO car very quickly. How slow everyone is. Car off. That's Radcliffe, I think, in the option car. Doesn't get in the gravel. Will be able to get going, but he's going to have to wait for a lot of cars. He actually decided to swing that way. That's risky. Please don't go. That was nice. He managed to just flick it round and get going. So let's have a look at the replay. This is Mark Radcliffe. We're going to spin somewhere after this left tyre bail. Turns it in. All sounds okay. No contact. I think it was very, very similar to McDermott's, where just using that curve. Listen to Revs trying to spin that back round. That was really cool. Brook now to the outside. There's going to be 3 wide. Go on, Morgan. Break later than these 2 nutters. That are probably going to take out Matt Nicol-Jones by the look of it. Just get it stopped. Matt really read that well, didn't he? Opened up. Petrobelli spun by Caquet, then gets round. Richard Neary does lose the position to say, and Tilbrook stay behind. Go on board with Caquet, so you can see Petrobelli's down the inside, just on his outside. Now, bang. Yeah, Petrobelli did close the door more than it looked like from the exterior shot. That's why it's so important to get a few camera angles. Pace hasn't been great, but look how many cars he's had to get past. Again, you can see how quickly the track's drying. I knew that's going to be contact. Way, way too late there on the brakes. You could see it locks up, trying to squirm. Did a good job not to hit it too hard. Sai Sanjay, I think there's a few cars that might be able to take it. Let's have a look at the replay. Super slow-mo. Looks okay. As soon as it comes off that yellow curb, rear kicks round, not quite enough opposite lock. You can see only puts 90 degrees on and then gives up and actually turns left, trying in vain, I think, to probably spin the car and stay on that little bit of extra tarmac apron, but the speed just carries it all the way in. Amazing camera work that, to follow the shot all the way in the gravel, doing its job.
He's getting out of the car by the looks of it. The marshals will need to recover it. That will take a couple of laps. And here, Joe, is how he did it.
Wow. He must have touched the curb under braking. There's no way anyone else was involved. Just probably dropping a rear right on the curb, hitting the brakes, it locking up and sending him all the way. Fastest Punjabi. Nice bit of advertising there. It does look quite fast, doesn't it? Looks like Kira needs a solution to get out of that gravel trap. But yeah, I mean, the gravel trap's really showing this, the super slow-mo. Here we go, Radcliffe. So it's the car in front. What happens? Just touches the white line and it was enough. I thought it was going to be more extreme than that, but just showing painted surfaces having less adhesion than the tarmac, and around it goes. And
because he can see Balfe getting away, and he does goes to the inside of the old hairpin, and just like that, wriggles past the McLaren, something that it took Sean Balfe lap after lap to do. And Martin does it straight away. There's contact though. Say into the side of Simon Orange. Around goes the McLaren. Other cars taking avoiding action as well. There's a tyre that has come off one of the cars and goes flying up the road, and that is big, big drama. It may be the left rear tyre off the McLaren after the contact with the Mercedes. This is the moment. So Martin gets the move done. That delays Orange. Say sees the gap and then seems to move over, Joe.
It's a really high one. I can't believe how common the whole tyre just pops off. I've generally never seen that, I don't think, apart from maybe in cars too. But
and off down at the old hairpin, no, Redgate I think that might be, is the Paddock Motorsport McLaren. It's beached in the gravel. It's definitely in a dangerous place. A scheduled stop or not, this is the drama at Redgate then, Joe.
So yeah, Marcello turning around Plowman, and hard to see from far back. Mitchell, wow, really on the front foot there, clutching on Harper as well. There's so many little battles. Contact there, looks like Plato has got front end damage. Callum McLeod in the Mercedes trying to turn around. I assume he's going to get a replay of what happened here. Plato down the inside of McLeod. That is big damage. That tyre stack actually has moved a long way, hasn't it? Hadn't appreciated that. The driver's now having to deal with it. This super slow-mo camera has earned its money today, just hitting the tyre stack. Hard from that angle, but Plato was a long... How's Neary going to miss this? Can I just stop myself talking? A little bit more speed as we see big damage on the exit. This could get the leaders really caught up. Phil Keen's coming into shot now. Looks like he's clipped the tyre stack, doesn't it, on the left side. Needs to try and not go into the gravel trap and get back to the pits to not cause our 9,000th safety car of the race closer to the track. Let's have a look. Wallop. In his defence, it wasn't that tight earlier, but now with it moving after Plato hit it, it's really in the way, and it shows you how heavy it is. It's a hell of a lot of damage on that car.
Depending on where the collards end up, we could have a change of championship lead. This was the little nibble out of the tyre stack. Again, looks fairly dramatic. I think he's done it on the other side at one point as well. I don't think there's a car out there, Joe, that doesn't have damage to at least one of its front corners.
They're the tyre marks that have locked up and gone across that painted surface. At the moment, the barrier looks pretty intact, so if there was contact, it was very, very slight. We're going to get a replay here. wow, the Ram GT4 Mercedes. I mean, that was amazing skill points, wasn't it?
And off they rush towards La Source. Not a good start for Petrobelli. Martin and Matt Topham up the inside of him, but Giacomo manages to hang on to second place. Storming round the outside was Sean Balfe, and he's picked up a few places whilst Loggy is in trouble. Loggy's had contact, so too John Ferguson, and into Andrew Howard. I think Richard Neary was involved in that too. And big drama down the hill. The 27 McLaren heavily into the barriers, takes a couple of others with him, and that was big contact with Sasha Kakad. The car is back in the middle of the road, and this almost certainly will be a race stoppage. That was major drama. The safety car scrambled already.
I think he goes late on the brakes, and I think there's a bit of contact in between him and the Audi, and now Buncombe in that white one. I mean, Neary's in the side of Ferguson there. So let's pick this angle. I've not seen this. So let's look to the red Audi, the yellow-fronted BMW. I think it is 3 cars into one, and I think that no one knew that there was another car. The most innocent one is orange.
Yes.
That's the biggest unfortunate. Watching the Ginetta hit squeeze through the back, and that's why he's 4 places above some of the GT3 cars, because they've read that super well. Wow, look at this, the speed, the energy, the engine cover coming off the BMW as well. I didn't appreciate that. Now watch the Ginetta in the left follow this BMW through. That is tight. That would have been a big breath in to make sure you get through there, but thankfully all drivers okay. You can actually Neary's retired. Got another replay, slow-mo of everything going on. So there's Ferguson, Neary and Howard. And then if we just look to our right side, Kakad getting turned around the front. It must have been Cavers and Buncombe, and then as Cavers goes left, that's Simon Orange, and he kind of bounces into the barrier at the same point. Cavers' hit is big enough by its own self. And then look in the background, everyone now doesn't make contact again, and that is trying to slice your way through there. Is job done well by everyone. See where the yellow flags come out, because it all happened so quickly. I don't expect the marshals to be that on it. Is there a yellow anywhere I can see here? Nothing on his marshal display system. He's having to pick his way through at the moment. Or maybe a little rear contact with Meakin in there. Everyone now going left of Simon Orange to the right of Cavers. Safety car now on the marshal display system, so should be no overtake. Yellow flag there on the left, bit of debris being flicked over the windscreen. Double wave yellow on the left there. Look at the bodywork, probably from Cavers or Orange. Car on the left, the Audi there, coming to a walking pace. That is like 10-15 decides, actually, I'm going to go left. He's probably generally a bit confused. Can he overtake? Because the yellow flags are out.
You've only got 10 minutes in which to do an outlap to get your tyres up to temperature. And there, already, a rotation. The McLaren goes around, and that, I think, is Morgan Tilbrook.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it's one way to get tyre temperature. Not the best. Hopefully he doesn't pull out in front of Petrobelli there. He'd be really flustered. Martin's going to get round him.
Looking to get round Collard. He tries the outside line into the hairpin, which is pretty brave. It's not going to work, but he does hang on to second place.
Yeah, Mike Smith, sorry, having a spin there, just looped around, but...
and there, look, is the battle between Freddie Tomlinson and Charles Dawson's car in the hands of Seb Morris. Bits fly.
That was amazing. That was the Mercedes badge off Morris. I think Mercedes-AMG need to use that on an advert. That
in the Audi, good to have Jordan back into British GT racing this year, because he's a very quick, underrated driver. And Mayhem behind those, the 2 key players out of race 1. Ravi Ramyid and Charlie Robertson's BMW is off the road with Freddie Tomlinson's Ginetta. Is Charlie Robertson at the wheel of the BM, and I wonder whether this might neutralise the race to get that out of the way. We'll get a replay. Right, here you go, Joe.
It's in the back of the shot. It's like P6 and 7. You see it just coming in is how I saw it.
Oh.
So I think he's trying to overtake Seb Morris by the looks of it in the Mercedes, and is focused on that. Potentially misses his braking point only by a couple of metres, and the speed was too high. As we see Tomlinson getting going, pit entry just on his right. Is he going to take it? Doesn't look like it. Lots of fluid coming out there, but they seem to be fighting just as fairly so far in race 1.
And up now comes number 29, the BMW there. That is Tom Wrigley, who gets into the side of the Mustang. Contact between the two. Thankfully, nobody else gets involved, but a big lose there.
63 has a 5-second time penalty added to their pit stop.
Let's have a look at what happened to 61 of Eric Evans here, Joe.
Yeah, I just think Wrigley's alongside enough. That's the better angle. For me, I'd say the Mustang of Evans has to give him more room than that. Good car control to save it. Look at this group of cars. Ferguson to the inside. Tim Docker wants to be anywhere but turn 4 at Snetterton in that stellar Audi. You see Mikey Porter get down the inside. Rob Collard now sweeping through also. Oh, contact boost past Balfe. Lot of damage there for Tim Docker. That's why he didn't want to be at Snetterton.
Yeah, absolutely, but Collard picked up damage as well. That was GT3 on GT4.
I wonder if Rob can go more left here, because he should anticipate it's 3 wide. It wasn't his fault, but it could have helped in another big hit with the Merc as well. That was a huge amount of contact, and it just about survived. He's now on his last chances into the last corner. I think Ferguson will be wise to that and will block it off. But this is amazing. A lot of damage there for Tom Holland and the Colin White.
Colin White's taken over. There's a tyre off. So there's been contact to do the tyre, then it's been turned into the barrier. It's not going to affect things in terms of a yellow because it's the last lap.
I think we're going to take the full 6.5 minutes that we've got remaining to get anywhere near that.
Yeah, 1:27 was the best lap as off the road and struggling for traction. There goes Mike Price. 1:27.9, Callum McLaren in that green Mercedes.
We wish you the very best as always. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Cheers.
And there, I'm afraid, is Mike Price. 6th quickest in the session is number 3 Mercedes. Mike Price at the wheel of it. That has had a moment coming into McLaren's, and the back swaps ends. And how bad is the damage? That's a fair old impact. It's into the tyres, yes, but that is exactly what Joe was talking about earlier on. You don't want to do any damage at all in this session, and that is quite a whack. Yes, it's the tyre barriers, nothing solid. 97 is in the gravel, and that's triggered the red flag now. Andrew Howard at the wheel.
Yes, he's beached Dean in the gravel, but there's no damage done, and that's the risk reward. Let's have a look. Like you said, I think he's lost the rear. He hasn't touched the white line. Goes into shot. It looked okay. I wonder at the end of the brake zone, did he just touch the white tyre, or did he turn in a bit aggressively? Front end coming round quite quickly, the gravel.
Rob Collard, Kevin Say on the outside line. Giacomo Petrobelli in 87, he's on his toes in the acid on the inside. John Ferguson gets into Kevin Say, there's contact, and off the road goes Kevin Say. Off the road also goes Mark Smith, I fear that is in the McLaren. And have they all managed to scrabble through, and can Kevin Say dig himself out of the gravel? That is far from the ideal start. It was a little bit of contact, I fear, between the BMW of John Ferguson, the Mercedes-AMG of Kevin Say, and that car is still beached on the outside of Redgate.
Yeah, the slightest of touches as we see another touch between the 90 Optima car and the Fassetti 47. That was an interesting one to call. The inside was covered by the 90 car, but was he alongside enough to make it fair? Price tucks in behind. Is there contact on the front of that BMW? Kevin Say turns across the front. I would actually say Kevin Say has turned across the front of Ferguson there. I thought Ferguson was first. Ratcliffe, there's still a lot going on. Richard Neary really is a man on the move. Every time we see him, he seems to have overtaken the car. Ratcliffe to the inside of Topham. Real
contact,
lazy.
that turns Topham around, and into the back of it goes Carl Cavers. They're all going to sort themselves out, but Mark Radcliffe is the one that's lost out there because they've all gone streaming past him.
Yeah, just awkward, and we go on board with Loggy. You're going to get a view of them coming to a slow. Cavers into the back of Radcliffe because he had nowhere to go. Loggy reads it well, doesn't he? 3 places for the price of 1 there. I was a little critical of Sean Bell backing out with the first move into the Melbourne hairpin. Mark Radcliffe tried to back out, but too late, and just wanted to become invisible, which is quite hard to do in a modern GT3 car, and he was definitely at high speed, not generating the downforce it would want. Let's have a look at the background here. We're seeing Tilbrook run off in the 77 car, just getting pushed off by the GT4 cars inadvertently, and there is the most expensive lawnmower in the world, 600,000 of Woking's finest. This time, just maybe, is that a cold tyre that the Greystone have had to put on for that puncher that's caught him out? Some strange wheel spin. That's exactly where he went off in warm-up.
Indeed so, coming through Schwantz curve, and it's not quite a carbon copy because the moment started earlier, like he was wrong coming out of the old hairpin, put him across the road, and he's on the grass, and a big spin coming through Schwantz curve. That could have been a whole lot. Rob Collard has got another couple of laps maybe before he gives way to Ricky, and that is Mark Smith, who has spun right in front of the leader, coming out of the last corner. Cars scatter each way.
Matter if you're staying on track. What does he do? He gets hit by Tilbrook, doesn't he? Turned around. Look at the brake dust pouring out as it goes sideways. He did a mega job there to get that car round in a safe.
He's being investigated after the race, that incident. Here it is from another angle. Bang. So from that, there is little argument. Morgan Tilbrook clips the back of Mark Smith, turns him around. Road is just like a big litter bin. There, number 7, look, is the Mikey Day Aston whacking the tyre stack, and that then dislodges it, and more bits of car fly. That was the 61 Mustang with the inner of the wheel arch flying into the...
Plowman is a lap down, so you have to discount that black and pink paddock. GT3 and Neary is off deep in there. Was that helped by Smalley, or was that tyre temp not being where you needed it?
One would fear tyre temp, wouldn't you? Because as they came across the line, it was tense between them. 4 seconds in hand, he stretched the margin. This is the answer to the Mercedes, and there's a little bit of smoke and a wobble, and yeah, it's a tyre. Front left's gone.
Yeah, exactly that. You've called it completely right. And driver, obviously, Sam didn't get any warning there. The cars do have a TPMS. 2 off the pace. Josh Cagill now into the 24s.
And that going off the road is the Andrew Howard Aston Martin. Oh, so nearly at the barriers at Sheen Curve. Cold rubber through halcyon days of Super Saloons and the British Saloon Car Championship with Vince Woodman in Ford Caprice, as Sam Neary gets it all wrong at Sheen Curve and goes out wide over the grass. And this was the moment, and that was at Sheen Curve as well. He went and did a Neary and a Howard by getting it all wrong and wild. Maximilian Gertz would have raced on the Grand Prix circuit in GT World Challenge Europe, but in super slow-mo, you see just how much of an impact it has going across the grass and through the gravel, how much the car bounces and butts, how many stones are thrown into the air.
So really, really good job. Oh, I see Ricky looping it out of Graham Hill. Lost that very early. It was pretty sideways as he came into shot. Full 360. Looks like...
National Hot Rod World Champion and multiple National Hot Rod title winner. And this is how he did it. Whoa, blimey, that was very rapid to exit stage left, wasn't it? Irrepressible is Colin White, coming back after a scary moment at Thruxton a couple of years ago. But that is quite a ride as he goes out through the gravel. It's a proper Code Brown moment, that.
Look at his hands working through the windscreen. Great gloves. I can see his left hand up there correcting it. He came into shot so wrong. I'd love to see the entry. There's a Toyota behind him. I don't know if they were involved. I don't think they were.
And we go racing for the last time this year in British GT. Josh Cagle's McLaren takes the lead. Alex Martin gets up the inside of Morgan Tilbrook to go second. And a big, big lose by Kevin Say. He's in the gravel at the very first corner. He did it at Donington and was able to rejoin. He's in the gravel.
So Kevin Say on the second row, just behind the orange car of Marcus Tilbury. Let's see, is any contact? There's a little bit, isn't there? But Mark Radcliffe had nowhere to go. He's actually up on the apex. I have to say to Kevin Say that it's almost identical to what he did to John Ferguson at Donington in terms of closing the door. Let's watch it here. Just going to little contact. For me, it's 100% on Kevin Say. Mark Radcliffe was there and was at the apex, couldn't do any more. I think Kevin there has just possibly not checked his right mirror enough before committing to the normal racing line. Let's try and spot the damage in the background, because I can't see how the Fassetti car and the DTO car would have hit each other at that point. Let's look in our shot now, just through there. Let's look a bit further back again, because they're quite split. You can see the Fassetti car all the way back on the left shot. So they did hit each other with a Mustang in the middle of their sandwich.
Yeah, so it was the Forzetti acid into the back of the largely red Mustang, which in turn got into the back of the Ginetta and did its tyre. You're quite right. Thinking about points, because you can distract yourself, you can give away a place and give away two, and there's a big, big lose up at Druid to a number 62 Ford Mustang of Will Moore back into the race. But Rob Collard, we know he's an attacking driver. How did the Mustang spin? It got Goffed, didn't it? Ian Goff up the inside.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a late move.
Yellow flag out as well, I understand, at Stirling's. There's a car off the road. It's the number 67 McLaren, as this is Sean Balfe getting up the inside of Mark Smith, and they lean on each other in replay. And from the onboard, this was Sean Balfe's view. He sees a gap, he goes for it, sees Mark Smith, tries to brake, clatters into the side, gets sideways. And Simon Orange has got a long way through the gravel into the tyre stack. The car is going to be removed. That, in a sense, is the easy bit. It's the tyre barrier damage. There he is. Doesn't look like there was contact with anybody else, and the car comes through frame, heading for the tyre barriers. And there's damage to the barriers as much as the car. Kaboom! There it is. And he moves that tyre stack quite a long way back.
Yeah, the only thing, the Mustang looked at slightly jaunty angle as it came into shot. So it'd be interesting to see, again, potentially a bit of contact between the GT4 Mustang and Orange there as he trudges.
Makes his way up towards Stirling's. Number 69 is the one behind him of Nathan Harrison. Whoops, drama there as Matt Cowley clatters into traffic. Mustang off, Lotus off, Mercedes off. That got all messy going into Stirling's. Matt Nicol-Jones Mustang out. Reigning GT4 champion Matt Cowley out. And Gordy Much in the Lotus out. 3 in the gravel. You know what's coming.
Yeah, who did Matt Cowley used to drive for?
Academy Motorsport with Matt Nicol-Jones' team.
Matt Nicol-Jones still in the car, but I can see him moving. So all drivers okay. Let's get ready for a recovery. The good thing here is this is exactly where
this will be a long full course yellow.
A long full course yellow, says the race director. Okay, have a look at the Mustang number 62. It all kicks off behind. Keep an eye on number 12 of Matt Cowley.
Yeah, and you can't even see Gordy Much in the middle at the moment. You just see him coming there. Cowley looks to the inside on Much. I think the contact happens early. He just misjudges the length of that car. He hits the back of Much, who actually hits Nicol-Jones as well. It's Cowley. So for me, it is honestly not nice putting blame at people's foot there at door. But Matt Cowley, unfortunately, has everything there. I don't see what Matt Nicol-Jones did wrong. Gordy Much was fully innocent in that part. Easily done. When you're looking to make the move, it has to be a last-minute dart there because you're not on the brakes for much more than 50 or 60 metres, and he's thrown it to the inside, just miscalculated the length of that Mercedes. Easily done.